If you're in the market for a book that is short enough to finish in one sitting, but you finish it with a sense of like, wow, that really had some meaning to it, it was thoughtful, then I'm going to have to recommend Monumenta by Lara Haworth. I was thoroughly impressed by this. At 120 pages, it would be very easy to dismiss what it's trying to tell you, but I can't point to another book, not really, that this reminded me of. Like, and that's difficult to do. Like, this was very authentic and interesting. That doesn't happen often. The story is about a family that are all coming together for this big reunion at their home in Serbia, and it's to discuss what's going to happen to the home because they've been told that due to its cultural significance as being the site of a historic massacre, they're actually going to repurpose the house into some kind of monument, and instead the family has been offered like a city apartment as reparations for that, which is shocking, but I'm sure it does happen. And then we see three different architects come into the fray. They each share their plans for what they think the monument should be, like whether it should be like demolished into a crater, whether it should be turned into this big sort of shopping centre type gaudy tacky display, or if it should be like this centre for all the monuments. And what emerges from this story is a really interesting conversation about monuments themselves, like landmarks. What is the purpose of them? Is it to glorify something? Is it to remember? When we put something in that specific space, do we think about what we're potentially also taking away from that space? It was a really reflective one. It gave me food for thought. I think I read that Laura Hayworth wanted to write this after a lot of the controversy that happened, especially in the UK during the pandemic. It was sort of like peak tearing down statues that belong to like slave owners and like despicable people from history. There was that, who was that guy that they chucked in the water in Bristol? I can't remember his name, but there was that statue where I think he was like a slave owner, and then there were statues as well in like Oxford and Cambridge that people wanted taken down. And there was this whole conversation about like, what is the role of the statue? Is it a glorification of that person? Like, is Lord Nelson standing in Trafalgar Square, is it possible to look at him in a balanced view, or is it too much in the 21st century knowing that he was this like misogynist, this white supremacist? Like, is it a bad taste in our mouths to have like a literal like honouring of him in central London? Like the stuff like that. Another catalyst for the writing of this was the passing of the writer's grandmother, and sort of seeing how the house that they had spent all these years in and like visiting their grandparents, that house was then sold and given away to someone else. And like, as someone who like went through that recently, like seeing your grandparents' house move on to someone else and like feeling like you have to sort of mourn them all over again, it's deep. Like, that's some really emotional stuff. Like, the book was making me feel things, and for 120 pages, that is impressive. This was secretly what I wanted Roadwork to be. Stephen King has this book called Roadwork that's about this guy whose house is getting like demolished to make way for like a motorway that's being built. But that didn't make me feel what this makes me feel. Like, I think this does a much better job of that sort of sense, because in a way, like, it's a bit like Ozymandias, isn't it? It's like the sort of narcissism of humans to think that their legacy should be honoured for eternity. But then there's also that more emotional aspect of it where you realise that no, this is actually, for some people, it's a way to sort of hold on to the people that are no longer with us. Like, it is special. It was smart as well. So much of this book takes place in Serbia. The Balkans have such a complicated history with the sort of possessing, repossessing, redistributing, the changing of borders and countries and names. Like, it's so muddled up, and so it's very much a place where if you make this monument, does that in some way desecrate the things that came before it? And it's an interesting conversation. I like that it's three-dimensional. I don't think there's a concrete answer that you can slap on it and say, like, yes, that is how it should be done. I think this would be a really solid book club book. Like, that you could probably have a lot of really deep conversations, especially with what goes on nowadays regarding landmarks. And I think it just came out in paperback as well, so grab the paperback.